Okay, if everyone, if somebody can let me know that you can hear me and you can see my screen, that would be appreciated. Great, thanks. Thanks, David, and thanks, Liz. Okay, so this morning, welcome to the first sales team update meeting of 2017. Today we're going to be talking about I'm going to give an update on the new primer design tool that we've been working on for the InFusion cloning product. Our agenda today is going to be a quick overview. We're going to talk about the capabilities and advantages of the new tool. We're going to compare it to the existing tool and show why this new tool is going to be a lot better for our customers. I'm going to give a demo overview of the new tool, and then I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to do a request for beta testers. So we'll get to that towards the very end, and then we'll cover any questions that you may have. So an overview of the primer design tool is probably most of you know we've been working on this for a while. One of our ongoing InFusion goals is to always try to keep improving our customer satisfaction. And we found that increasing our customer satisfaction happens when we are able to increase the rate of their success when they're using InFusion for the first time. And we know that our customers continue to desire a greater ease of use, so this plays into what our customers are asking for. And we do know that primer design plays a large role in a customer's success when they're using InFusion. So whatever we can do to help that primer design step so that they are obtaining the right primers that go into the infusion reaction, is going to improve customer satisfaction. We do have an existing online primer tool. It does offer some very limited functionality when we look at what type of features and options we would like it to offer. So listening to our customer feedback on the existing tool and knowing that they want something that has ease of use, we've decided to develop this new tool. So the new tool basically lets people do single insert cloning. It lets them do multiple insert cloning, and also it does site-directed mutagenesis. So they can do point mutations, they can do inserts, they can do deletions, they can do replacements. Today we're calling the release plan for this new tool. Today we're calling a soft launch. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some internal beta testing. We have an internal focus group that has been looking at the tool throughout the process and providing feedback. And then also we're going to ask you guys to obtain some external beta testers for us. Barring any showstoppers over the next 2 weeks, we're going to do an official launch on January 23rd of the tool. So if we go into a bit of the capabilities of the tool, and I'll be giving a real-time demo in a few moments, but when we look at the existing tool that we had, basically it let people do single insert cloning, and that was the extent of the limitations. So similarly to that tool, the new tool lets you linearize by restriction enzyme digest, PCR, or if you want, you can also do linearized vectors as your starting point. And then you're able to generate primers that have that 15 base pair overlap, which is really the crux of the infusion reaction. What's new in the new feature in the new tool is that people can now do multiple insert cloning. So they can do anywhere, I think I've tested internally probably up to about 8 different fragments, which really covers, I think, the majority of people. And that's not to say that going to 10 or more would not be doable, but I think that's where we're telling people is that they can do probably up to 8. We know that researchers continue to struggle with multi-fragment inserts, and we know that people come and use InFusion when they are having multiple inserts or they're having something that's difficult to clone. And for the multiple insert cloning, the tool is going to generate primers that have a 20 base pair overlap. And we've found that when people are doing multiple fragment inserts, that the 20 base pair rather than the 15 base pair gives them an optimized reaction. So what we will be doing is we will really, focus, and we will be promoting the capability of this new tool to do multiple insert cloning, which really reinforces the way that we have been promoting, InFusion for your difficult reactions. And then also there's going to be a tech note that we have. We have an updated user manual that now includes a portion that covers multiple insert cloning. So that'll kind of all play into this release of the tool. And then also there'll be a feature that people will be able to toggle back and forth between cloning and mutagenesis. So they'll be able to generate primers that let them do insertions, replacements, and deletions. And I have a quick question, so I'm going to check that. So Marcia asked the question, does the tool allow the user to choose 15, 20, or somewhere in between for base pair overlaps? And it does not. We've made a hard rule that if they're doing single intercloning, it's 15 base pairs. And if they're doing multiple, then it's going to be 20. And that's just based on, our internal information that we know that really is the optimized, the optimized gives the best results. Okay, so if we look at the new tool compared to the existing tool that we have, basically you can see on the left column that the existing tool lets you do single insert cloning. The new tool lets you do that in addition to multiple insert cloning, mutagenesis. It also lets you, in addition to having a lot more of the most common restriction enzymes, I've gone to the NEB website and picked and made sure that we had all the most common enzymes that they're selling available in the tool, and then people also can add their own restriction enzymes if they have something that's not in our list already, so it gives much more flexibility. They can also use existing GenBank files, they can use FASTA files in addition to text files, whereas with the old tool basically you could type in or copy and paste a text file. So it really gives much more functionality to the end user. And I do just want to kind of show this is the existing tool that we have online, so that there'll be a contrast when you see what the new tool looks like, which I think is going to have a much nicer interface. It's going to have better ease of use compared to this existing tool. So this existing tool, people would enter their initial starting vector information. They could use either PCR or they could use restriction enzyme to linearize that initial vector. And then there was a handful of restriction enzymes that they could pick from. Then they would go through, decide where they want to insert their fragments. They would then type in the fragment, and they would go ahead and design a primer. So this is what it looked like. It served a purpose, but I think it also looks a bit outdated in just the formatting and all of that. It's very basic. So this is what the new tool landing page is going to look like. We have a page on the website that's for online tools for InFusion cloning. So the top part is going to be this brand new primer design tool, the new and improved feature. If you look here down on the left, this button for classic primer design tool, we're also leaving a link to the existing tool because there are those people who have been using the tool and find it helpful for them. But anybody new who's coming on, we're going to be pushing them towards this new version. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to drop out and I'm going to show you guys the new tool. And there'll be this link on the web page. When people click on it, it'll pop up a brand new web page. Up here at the very beginning, they can either choose from cloning or mutagenesis. So that's the point where they decide what their experiment is going to be. Here they can input their destination vector, and you can do that a variety of ways. You could copy and paste the actual sequence in here. We do have an option here to select an existing Takara or Clotech vector, so people can search through here for our catalog of vectors. They can also come here and browse to find a file. What I'm actually going to do is just grab a file here. So this is going to be our starting vector. It's a puck19 vector. So once, and this field is restricted so that people can only put in A, C, T's, and G's. If they try something else, they're going to get an error message. Paul has a question, can you search by catalog number? And no, the catalog numbers are not associated with the vectors. It's just the vector name, which could perhaps be an improvement for V2 of the program. Once they've decided what or input their destination vector, they come down here and decide how they're going to linearize. If they choose restriction digest, then those restriction enzymes that are in this puck19 vector are shown. By default, it shows those restriction enzymes that are only going to cut once in the vector. If people want to decide that they want to look at those enzymes that are double cutters or even triple cutters, they can put that in and filter just by the double or the single. They also can come in here and select from a list of restriction enzymes. They can add their own enzyme if they want. So this is just here. This is a much larger list of enzymes that they can pick from. But if they know that for some reason that their specific enzyme is not on that list, they can come here, put in what the sequence is, and decide where the enzyme should be cutting at, and they can decide exactly what and use their specific enzyme. And then it also tells them how many times that enzyme is going to cut in the vector, which is helpful. So in this instance, also, let's say here you can come to PCR and you say, well, you want to perhaps do an insert there. And then you can go ahead and add your insert and it'll do the inverse PCR there. Or perhaps you already have an already linearized vector, it'll show it in this format here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick restriction enzyme digest. So down here at the bottom, you can select to include the restriction site in the final product, or if you don't want to maintain that or retain that the cut site, you can select it off. And then so we've tried to design it so that you kind of follow this flow of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Down here this is where you would input just a single insert. So I'm going to grab that data quick. Okay, so then I put in my insert here and I can go ahead and hit design primers, and it's going to go ahead and do the process. If I have additional inserts, all I do is click this button and then I can add insert number 2. I can add another, for this instance, I'll just do sample data. And then you would design the primers. If at any point you put in something that you don't want, you just delete it right here from the trash can. Let's go ahead and I'm going to remove that insert, and we're just going to go ahead and design primers. So this is up at the top here, you're always going to have a design page and a results page toggle. So you can go back to what your original design was, and then here once you do the create or design primers, then you get this results page. And here you see the red is always going to be your original starting destination vector, and then you have your restriction cut sites, and then you have the insert. And if you had multiple inserts, then you would have different colors for those inserts. I have one question. Yep. So Marcia's question is there a way for the user to name the inserts? So for perhaps insert 1 is a promoter, insert 2 is the N-terminus, etc. And yes, Marcia, you can come here and you can actually, right here, if you click on this little pencil to edit, you can go ahead and name the inserts whatever you want. So if we come back here to the results page, what is helpful, I think, to the user is that down here you see exactly where the junction is going to happen between the insert and the initial vector. So if you come down here and you click on this highlighted yellow area, it jumps you to that junction right in the diagram, which is also, like if I click on this primer, you'd also see this entire area highlighted. But if I look at just this junction here, it's going to tell me that from here to the cut site of SMA1, it's a 15 base pair overlap between the vector and the primer. So you know just visually, really quickly, the program tells you that yes, it's decided that it's selected these 15 base pairs, and that's where that 15 base pair overlap is going to happen for this insert junction. And if you go ahead and click to the other one, it'll take you to the very bottom or the end of the insert where you're putting it in, and you see that you also again have yeah, so I'm gonna continue on since we are recording this, and since people online have lost audio, hopefully it'll come back on. Okay, now it's back. Okay, so going back to, because I'm not sure when audio was lost, out here, right here is the output information. So these are the different oligos that we are suggesting that people order in order to do their primers. It'll tell the length and base pairs. It'll give a GC content percentage, and then it also will give the TM of the primer plus what the gene-specific area is. And then down here at the very bottom, people can go ahead and download results, so they'll be able to get the final sequence. They'll get the primer information that they can then use to order all of those to design their experiment. Right down here, this is important to note, there is a button here that says report issue with primer design tool. So as we're asking people to test the tool, and especially external beta testers, they'll be able to come down here if they do have a problem, click on it, fill out some information, and it'll get sent directly back to the developers and to myself so that we can then troubleshoot any of the problems. So that is one thing to, as we're going forward and reaching out to people, is to know that this is an easy way for them to provide you know, bug reports. So that's the overview of the so Brian Bell's question is, what if there are not good options? Will we tell them to pick different restriction enzyme sites? So I think as they're going through the process, and if they haven't picked you know, an appropriate site, they're going to get some error messages that are going to trigger on and not let them go further. But as long as it's, you know, it's cutting and it would give the appropriate 15 base pair overlap, it'll proceed. Okay, so Brian says, I mean if the primer sequence has wonky GC content, etc. You know, yeah, it's kind of this is the way of the tools. It may be one of the, you know, a limitation of the tool as it's been built and decided is that it's not going to probably catch if they have wonky GC content. It'll give them the indication of what the GC content is. Maybe from that they'll know that they need to go in and relook at what they've chosen. Okay, so one more quick question. Does the tool help people design long-range inverse PCR around the vector if sites are not good? So if people want to go ahead and do PCR, they just come here and they can decide exactly where they want to insert, and then it will design the primers for that purpose. Okay, so I do want to briefly touch on mutagenesis. Very similar interface. People, again, can add a vector. Okay, Tom has a question. Is the estimated TM given for each primer? Yes. So that is happening here in the results page. You'll get a TM for each primer that you design. So if you're doing multiple inserts and you end up with 6 different primers, you'll have a TM for each one of those. Okay, so if we come back here and we take a look at mutagenesis, if you come here, I'm actually going to just go through here and select a Takara vector. Up here there are some nice toggle features that let you, you can show and hide the different cut sites. You can go here and decide what your cut site options are if you want us to show those that are just going to be single cutters or double cutters in the vector that you have. You can hide the features, which gets rid of a lot of the different coloring and options that are here. You also have an ability to hide or show open reading frames. You can also come here and decide that you want to show the ORF translations. You can also translate an arbitrary area just by coming into it and right-clicking. So if you come here and click View Translation, you'll see the amino acids, so that you basically want to make sure that when you're doing this, you're not, you know, changing your open reading frame. And then you can also here, you can toggle back and forth between just the circular view, or if you want to just see all of the sequence data because you want to go through and take a look at that, or you can do both. So if we come over here and we've decided that we're starting with this vector, we can decide to do an insert. So normally we tell people if they're doing cloning with InFusion that their insert maximum or minimum size is 50 base pairs. So if they're coming here and they only want to insert less than that amount, so 20 or fewer, they can come in here and use the mutagenesis function and do an insert and just put in, say, 5 base pairs. If I select an area and I drag, I can replace that section now. If I wanted to do just a point mutation, I could replace it. I could also delete it. So if I say I'm going to delete it, it will take it out of there, and then I could go ahead and do design primers. And it'll show me, where my forward and my reverse primers are. If I click on that, it'll jump to that area, and then it'll show you where you have the overlap between the two, between the insert and the vector. Again, very similar look and feel. I wanted the mutagenesis and the cloning to be just an extension of each other, that they're not coming off as different different aspect of InFusion. So basically, you're going to have the exact same type of data that you generate with cloning here. And Brian Bowell has a question. Will there be a training video for new users and facts? So yes. I'm working on a how-to guide that will walk people step by step through the process. I envision there will also be training videos so that people can just watch a quick video and get started. That's all going to be coming within the launch within the next couple of weeks. So that's really the kind of a broad overview of the tool. I think it's giving people a lot of added functionality over the tool that we have. The feature that the fact that they can do multiple insert cloning really is a nice new option, and it really reinforces the what people are using InFusion for.
Just a quick question. When you hit download results, what do you get, like a PDF or?
You actually get a CSV file, so you can open it up in Excel. Or it comes actually as a results.zip, and then in that file you have both your construct and then you have the protocol, which contains basically, I can show it here. It's going to show you the oligos to order. It gives you the sequences there. And then, again, the length and base pairs, the GC, the TMs, and the gene-specific TMs. And if you want to look at the full construct, then you have a construct here as a GenBank file. Okay, so I'm going to jump back into the presentation. I wanted to go over. Oops, sorry, my request for beta testers. So, you know, as anybody who's ever had any interaction with developing a software tool, you know, I've looked at it. I think internally we've all looked at this a lot, and you do it similarly ways, even though you try to break the tool or try different ways and do wonky things, but really once we get it in the hands of customers is when we're going to get some good feedback as to, you know, usability and is it intuitive or not, and the things that we think make sense, does that actually make sense to the customers who are going to use the tool. So so we've already tested the tool with, you know, a focus group internally, but I feel now the tool is ready to go external. So as part of the soft launch, we would like to ask our existing InFusion customers if they would beta test the tool. So what I'm asking of you guys is I would like each one of you to secure 2 customers that you can then, that will beta test the program. And basically what this is going to require of you is to reach out to your InFusion customers that you are in contact with, that you know. It does not need to be anybody who has used the existing tool. If they have, fine. If they haven't, that's also fine. I need 2 customers who are going to agree to be able to test the tool within a 2-week window. So I need a commitment from the customer to take a look at it within this 2-week time frame, and if they can't, then go on to the next person and try to identify somebody who can do it in a short time frame. I mean, really, if they're they could probably test the tool within a 15-20 minute time frame, maybe half an hour tops. So it's not a huge time commitment on them. So hopefully you'll get people who are interested in playing around with it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to follow up with the customer. I'm going to ask them to give us feedback via a SurveyMonkey. So we have a very short questionnaire, probably about 8 questions that we're going to ask people about. You know, did you use the tool? Did it give you the results you expected? What could we do to make it better? You know, did you need a user manual or a how-to guide? So I'm purposely not sending out any information on using the tool. I want to get that real initial feedback of, does this thing work, and is it intuitive enough for somebody just to come onto the website and start using it without a video or a lot of information. In addition, the customer can provide that feedback directly to you. I will give you the link for SurveyMonkey so you'll know what the questions are. So if somebody just wants to tell you, write that in there, you know, please take that information down and send it to me. At the very end of the survey, I'm also going to ask people if they want to provide more detailed information, and then they can give their contact information, and I'll follow up with them and get more info. Bonus, if you guys are also so inclined, you know, feel free to test out the tool yourself. Provide me with your feedback as to how you think it works. If you feel that there should be some major improvements. At this point, I plan on rolling out this as the, you know, the version 1 of this new tool, barring any game stoppers or show stoppers where, you know, the tool is just not working. But we'll be working on a new and improved version, because I'm sure all of these, once it gets in the hands of customers, we're going to have a lot of you know, tweaks that we can do. So I do have a quick question. So Brian Bell is asking, would you be able to provide us an email template highlighting the advantages of the new tool for us to modify to send to our existing customers? Okay, so Brian, we can definitely provide a very short template for an email that you could then send out to people. I'm hoping that perhaps each TM has 1 or 2 people that they know is an existing InFusion customer, and they can reach out to them. But if you do need to, or it's just easier to contact them via email, that's an option. So I can get that put together and get that out to you by tomorrow. Okay, so that's the presentation. That's the tool. If anybody has any questions or comments that they have not made so far, please feel free to share them at this point. If you guys want to give me a call and talk about it, that's perfectly fine, or over email, that also works. Okay, I think I'm going to call it a meeting, and if you guys have any additional questions, comments, give me a call. Okay, bye.